This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Hing.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
Throughout the nation and around the globe, from his heart to yours, it's Dear James Live on the radio, here on the Contact Talk Radio Network, bringing you intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. Today, I have the incredible honor and privilege to have renowned radio and TV host and founder of Global Prayer Partners, Sheila Gale, on today to talk about her new initiative and the amazing work that's going to be coming behind it. So welcome, Sheila. How are you?
Thank you. I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me. So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here because for all of you that are listening, you may remember Sheila Gale. Sheila was on CTR for a very long time under the Hans and Sheila show, and she is a renowned radio and TV host. And so I wanted to go in, Sheila, and kind of relive a little bit of how you came to be in terms of the radio and the television and the things that the spiritual journey that you took before we launch into Global Prayer Partners, just to set the stage a little bit on, what's behind this element, this movement, which is you.
Oh, okay. So, I got into radio in 1980. I just kind of stumbled into it. And I was doing, I was an announcer on music stations in Los Angeles and Monterey for about 20 years, got married, had kids, was a stay-at-home mom, gave up radio, and 10 years later, was going through divorce, depression, menopause, and struggling with addiction. So I was in a really pretty place. Really, I was just falling apart and didn't know what to do. Someone had said, "Oh, there's this radio station in Monterey. You should go check it out." And I'm like, "No, radio, been there, done that." Kept saying no. It kept popping up. One day I said, "God, what do you want me to do today? Go make another piece of jewelry or find that radio station." And my car turned left instead of right. So I came to this little radio station in Monterey and I started a radio show. And, I have to tell you, James, I always wanted to do talk radio, but I was kind of afraid, it was easier to just read cue cards doing music.
Right.
But as soon as I got in there and turned that microphone on, something inside me that seemed dead just kind of reawoken. And I think you can understand what I mean when you turn that mic on and it's your thing. So I started bringing on guests and then better guests and then guests that had been on Oprah and guests that had been on, The Secret. And I started getting better and I started healing. And it was the beginning of my journey. And that was 12 years ago. And now I have, the Sheila Show, which is on the internet now. And I keep bringing, spiritual healers and visionaries and great life-changing speakers to the show. So that's the journey.
And isn't it amazing? Because as you were saying in that, and this is something that I share with my listeners every week, it's that whole thing of listen to the signs. When you talk about, okay, God, what is it? Or universe, whatever your higher purpose that you follow is, it's that piece of listening. It's that asking and receiving.
Exactly. And the thing about that, because that's how I live my life. Mostly that's how I live my life. But it's asking or demanding, like, what am I supposed to do today? What is next for me? Where is the money coming from? And then I let it go. But then there's that period, James, that people need to wait to receive the awareness of what to do. Often people pray or demand and then they're like, oh, nothing happened. And they go back into their head like the dog chasing the tail, trying to figure out what's next for them. When really, my producer, my director is God, the universe, universal energy, spirit. And that's how this whole Global Prayer Partners started. And that's what I do every day. So
exactly. And that's the thing. Well, and launching into, so I'm going to flow a little bit with this because back and forth, because with Global Prayer Partners, and that's really what the show today is about. For everybody listening, it is about the creation and the launch of globalprayerpartners.com. And Sheila, explain, just give a kind of a global overview of it before we get into the nitty gritty of it.
Global overview. Well, on what it is, or
exactly. So, in other words, if in a one sentence, Global Prayer Partners is
a 24/7 service that anybody in the world, anywhere, anytime, can request and receive prayers immediately. And I don't mean just a few prayers. I mean dozens and hundreds. And the difference between this site and other, prayer sites, there's millions of them all over the world, which are wonderful. People praying silently for you. The difference in this site is that not only will they receive these prayers, they're going to receive emails of prayers and be able to read them, which is just phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you how adding that makes such a difference.
Well, truly, because it's a tangible expression of the prayer that's being given to you, or the positive encouragement, or the beautifulness that's coming to you in the written form. It makes that prayer tangible. And that, to me, was something that was really different about Global Prayer Partners, was that it is exactly that. You're going to literally receive what I call this love. Oh,
and it's amazing. I mean, to read these from people from all over the world that you've never met, that speak to you like they're your mother or your father or your loving sister or brother, it's just profound. And the healing happens really fast. It happened in my world with my daughter, which we can talk about whenever you want to, and several other people that we've done this for since this idea came to me. And by the way, it came to me. This is not my idea. This is not where I saw my life ever, starting a global prayer, partner service. But I'm just following orders.
Isn't it? And that's a beautiful piece, because it's when we sit and listen. I mean, as you've just said, you're called to do this. And so many times it is the piece of, we know innately that we're called to do something. It's, do we listen? Will we listen? And beyond the listening, will we actually willfully act? And I give you such credit for the fact that not only are you listening, but you willfully act. It's something that I say over and over again each week, because it's the joke where, God, why won't you, let me win the lottery? And he answers back, buy a ticket.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can't win if you don't play. You can't win if you don't act. And that's what I love about this initiative that you're doing with Global Prayer Partners, is that you listened. And then, and here you're taking on something incredibly beautiful, but it's monumental.
It is big. It's so much more work than I ever thought. And I keep going, God, are you kidding me? Are you sure? And I look up and I always get yes. And then, and it's interesting, because there's days that I'm on the computer all day and emailing people, and how am I going to get this going? And who can I email and ask for help now? And then I ask the divine, what should I do now? And I just hear, let it go, or go to the beach. And I put my computer down and I let a day go by, because the universe takes time to line things up, to set things up. And I think the great piece that people forget about, as James says, I want to say again, because I love you're exactly on my wavelength with this, is that asking and then letting it go and then waiting. There's a period where you just need to chill out and not try to make things happen and figure it out on your own, because you will get answers.
Absolutely. It's the act of, I have the Power Of series, Sheila, and part of that is the power of surrender. And because to surrender is to empower yourself. And it's when you know that you're on the right path and you're on the right track. And this is how, coming back into the prayer, if somebody's asking for prayers on something, and all of a sudden they're receiving all of these prayers, it's that act of surrender to let the life force flow, to take your hands off the wheel and let it flow. Because if you're in your mind and your head and you're trying to control where this outcome is going, you're in the way.
Forget about it.
Yeah, forget it, right?
Forget about it.
It's not going to happen. You've got to let source or spirit, you've got to let them lead. You've got to surrender in order to let them lead. It doesn't mean be lazy. It
Right.
just means surrender.
But,
And
it's like when you look at nature, if you just look out the window, like, no, they're not struggling out there. I mean, everything's provided for, and that's what's here for us. But we have been, programmed millennium to live in this box, in this third dimensional world, of this thinking brain. And we need to just move to our heart, or basically it's your intuition. I say, if you can follow your intuition, you will never go wrong.
it's very true. It's the beauty in listening. It's listen. Well, you have something on your site that I want to, in your about section, and I found it really, really beautiful, is this piece about it's a time to awaken within. And in prayer, we always say in prayer, I always say, when you pray, and this is a beautiful, beautiful, this was given to me by a dear, dear friend. And she said, there's an expression, when you pray to God, you're speaking, but when you meditate, you're listening. And it's there again, this, give and receive. But you've talked about it. It's in a time to awaken. And with Global Prayer Partners, I feel like that is so artfully tied together, that it's this place, it's this time to awaken within. And you went on to say that it's the first, that this time is kind of the first wave of human ascension. We each have a job to do. And I wanted you to talk about that in concert with Global Prayer Partners and how you see that all tying together.
Well, as we all know, life has been pretty tumultuous lately, and all those that are listening, are all what I call light workers, people that are here to make a difference, that know there's a better way to live than how we've been living. And so the awakening within, it was you all the time. It always was. We keep looking outside ourselves. But really, when we can just connect with that source, like you said, and just live that way by listening, life is so much easier. It's just not hard. You're always taken care of. I get fears all the time. I'm like, where's the money going to come from? And boom, a check will come out of left field all the time. I get taken care of when I live that way. And as far as Global Prayer Partners, the thing I see about it is because I was instructed to do this and guided to do this, we all know that prayer is very powerful. People pray all the time. What I see is the power, and I've seen it with my daughter, which I want to explain in a minute, but collective prayer when we're focused. And I also want to use some other words, because sometimes the word prayer is a trigger word for people. They think, something religious. No, right. It's not religious. It can be religious, but prayer is also what about your intention? If you're intending or just sending good wishes or visualizing, all those things are the same to me as prayer. So when people are focused towards someone who's ill and just that they are relieved from suffering, our mission is to help alleviate pain and suffering in people, pets, and the planet. We're starting with people and pets, but our vision is much bigger. And the fact that we have the internet now is why we can all come together. We all want to help heal the world. We can do that collectively if we get together, and we can do it on the internet. We can have thousands of people on group calls. We can focus our prayers on the Middle East, on what's going on with the terrorists, what's going on with starvation, with global warming. I think it's time that we do that. We have to do that, because there's, as far as ascension, one more thing. They say a third of the planet is awakening. We're awakening first. We are the first wave of ascension. It is happening. Stay for the harvest, you guys. It's almost here. But before that, everything that is your greatest issue, your greatest pain, is just coming right to your face, because you got to accept, allow, and move through it. And there is a harvest waiting for us. So just hang in there. I'm in the trenches with you, just like James. I go through stuff all the time, but we got to do it. That's why we're here. I believe we chose to be here, those of us that are all listening, because we can help make a difference. And all the crap that we've gone through, and the pain and the suffering, and we have gone through it more than most people. And I believe that that's because that will allow us to affect so many more people. Imagine the people you can touch because of what you've gone through.
No, absolutely. And there's a couple of things that, about prayer. For me, the power of prayer, it isn't about, it's not solely a religious aspect. It's about faith. And faith is universal. Faith is innate. It's what we come with. It's in our DNA. And so when you think about with Global Prayer Partners and you think about this global ability for people to offer you prayer or good wishes or good intentions and to receive that in a written format, knowing that that's about faith, and not, again, the words get associated often with religion, faith and prayer and so forth, but they're far more than that. And so that's a beautiful aspect of this, is that, the prayer and the faith is innate and it's universal and it crosses every boundary and every country, every socioeconomic, every religious aspect. It transcends all of that. And in the awakening, this beautiful issue of ascension, the more that we collectively, as you're talking about, and this is again a beautiful piece about your initiative, is that there's a connectivity. There's a way to connect with like-minded people in a beautiful aspect of offering healing, help, as you so eloquently said, for the people, the pets, and the planet. I mean, it's a beautiful aspect and piece of all of this coming together. So we're taking your calls live, by the way. Sheila and I are taking your calls live throughout the hour. The phone lines are open. It's 877-230-3062. You are listening to Global Prayer Partners, the interview with Sheila Gale on Dear James Live. We're going to take a quick station break, and we'll be back after this message.
The desire to be more consciously enlightened is innate. Do you feel there's more to life? If so, find the resource that's right for you by going to DearJames.com/resources. You are the reality you create. Make it a great one. When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they seek to communicate with you to provide the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. From serious to silly, monumental to mundane, there's nothing the universe can't cover. Maybe the insight you receive is exactly the affirmation you were looking for. Then again, it may just give you a whole new perspective on things. And that's the beauty of the universe. Submit your question to Dear James at DearJames.com and click Ask.
The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.DearJames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear James Live. Express yourself. Tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. And again, today with my amazing featured guest, Sheila Gale, the founder of Global Prayer Partners, and of course, a renowned radio and TV host. So, Sheila, I want to go back to the beginning of this and talk about how, with your daughter, that there was a very serious issue that surrounded her, and that really launched Global Prayer Partners and so forth. So if you would share with everyone that story.
Indeed. Yes, it was just, and I'm counting on my fingers, it was just 6 months ago. My daughter, Natasha, 17 years old, just became physically so sick out of nowhere, just in this excruciating pain, rushed her to the hospital, and they were just medicating her, trying to keep her from being in pain. Big drugs, morphine. My daughter's never taken anything like that, and they could barely touch the pain. It was just horrible watching her. They did tests. They couldn't figure it out. They said, we need to send her up to San Francisco. So I'm following the ambulance as they're transporting her, and crying and just praying and saying, and I remember saying, I know something great is going to come out of this. But I was in fear watching my little daughter. So here we are up at UCSF Medical Center with teams of doctors. They would come in literally 5 and 7 at a time. And they did every test you could imagine. And they had this perplexed look on their face, couldn't figure out, couldn't diagnose her. She wasn't getting better. And on the 4th day, I just said, God, I need to do something. And just boom, this idea came. I had my little laptop to reach out to my listeners. So I just simply said, please pray for my daughter. And within minutes, I checked my laptop, and here's 1, and then 2, and then 6, and then 8. They were streaming in, James. There were over 450 emails came in from people all over the world that did not know her, and the most loving, incredible wishes, prayers, people sending Reiki energy, people sending healing energy. One woman, just this, I loved telling this one because it was so simple. She wrote and said, I've never written anybody before. You probably won't even read this. But I've been moved only 2 times in my life to get down on my knees and pray. And today was the 3rd. I mean, for a woman to pray for my daughter, just amazing.
Yeah, that just gave me goosebumps.
and I want to also share that as I'm reading them, and as my daughter was more, when she would be awake, I would start reading them to her. And then she goes, read me another one. And I'd read them. And I saw a light in her eye. I saw her start to soften, and I saw her pain dissipate. And within 12 hours, they were getting her off all meds. And in 24 hours, we walked out of that hospital, and my daughter's completely healed, and she is thriving today. And I know it was because of those prayers. And that's what just completely moved me. But I cannot express enough. Knowing people are praying for you is one thing, but when you're in that situation and it's just you and a family member, a couple people, and then you get this added to read these, oh my God, it was life-changing.
Well, and it invokes in me the elements of our connectivity, or, our quote-unquote unknown connectivity. And what I mean by that is here's over 450 people that are virtual strangers, if you will.
Yep.
And here's this woman that gets down on her knees, for your daughter to pray. But there's a connectivity. There's the, whether we call it the M theory or, that piece that connects us that is of the universe. And you realize that their intention, their prayer, their faith, their desire to help is being energetically conveyed. And as you then said, you're sitting in the hospital reading them to her is the delivery, is the action.
Exactly. And what you mentioned, and one thing that I can't say enough is how much people wanted to give and wanted to pray and kept following up and sending more prayers, and just the most loving, kind. And the thing is, every time people pray for someone, they get it. They get it back. It is such a gift. So many people want to pray. So we have, that's why we have over 50 now, silent prayer partners, I call them. And we also have dedicated prayer partners. And that's something different, where if somebody wants to have if they are like a healer or a spiritual counselor, they can have a web page on the site. So, we're always looking for more prayer partners. And just to let you know, the commitment is just to be available to answer 1 to 5 prayers a week. And it's just such a gift. Everyone that does it loves it. And they're like, we need more prayer requests, because they just love it.
So there's an opportunity for people to be dedicated, if you will, on the site, and or be the complete novice, that they come in, meaning, when I say a complete novice, meaning you just come in and you want to participate in reading the prayer requests and then participating. But you also then have dedicated people, within the different metaphysical or spiritual realms or religious realms and so forth that are saying, I want to, dedicate a portion of my time to answering prayer.
Right. And also, there will be a lot of people perusing and looking at the site, and maybe they're looking for a Reiki healer, or maybe they want a Christian, prayer, or maybe they want a non-denominational, something else. They can find that on there if they want to work with a particular person. So it's a great platform for healers and light workers to be and to, interact and
right, to actively participate.
Yeah. And get business if they, if someone wants to just work with them. But it is a donation only site. I was, guided to have it that way. Hopefully the money will come in. We need so much more money to build this site. We did this with Kickstarter. It was a Kickstarter campaign.
I was going to say, I wanted to jump into that in terms of, so it was a Kickstarter campaign, and how did it go? What happened?
We raised $6,000, which is great. And, some of that we made a lot of investments in social media and different things. So, we have enough to build the bare bones of a site. But we need a lot more for this complex site. We want to create an app for submitting prayers and members to access functions. We want to have newsfeed and forum options for the community to post world prayers and lots of other things. So, yeah.
So for everyone listening, I really want to highlight this, that there is still there's a donation button that's still active, and there is a link both on the if you go to the DearJames.com. And click on the radio, and then you'll see the write-up for this show. There's a link there for it. There's a link on the write-up on the CTR network here. There's a link on globalprayerpartners.com that allows you to continue to donate. And
also, I might add, and also if you would like to be a prayer partner, there's on globalprayerpartners.com, there's an opportunity to do that. So
perfect. Yeah, and Sheila, for everyone listening, the beauty is that this is a donation-based site. So the beauty of your intentions and your donations and your energy, because again, it's not only your life energy, if you will, money is energy. And so each piece adds to, the continuation and the development of this site. And it's just such a beautiful, I keep using the word initiative, but Sheila,
that's a good word. I like it.
It's really beautiful that you were, to see why it came about, and that, with your daughter, Natasha, and what she went through. But then see the beauty of what was.
And I have to say, for everyone listening too, and I know you know this too, James, and I always say this, it is always darkest before dawn. For me, that's what happens. And in the darkness of your life and in the struggle and the pain, as horrible as it may feel and be, if you can just go through it and don't fight it, because it's going to happen anyway, just go through it, and something great comes out of it, will come out of it if you listen to your intuition. There's always something that comes out of these dark places.
Absolutely, because in actuality, it's only our perception of it that colors it dark or colors it light. And so, it's our judgment, it's our perception, our judgment of it. But in this, I'm a firm believer that we all, we're choosing our paths and we're reliving them, we're remembering them, if you will. And so here, look at the beautiful gift that even in this point of perceived darkness, the beauty and everything that came out of it, and the gifts that were given by both those, by you, by you and your family and your daughter and everything, certainly, but also by the people that gave. That did get down on their knees and pray, or offered up those messages of encouragement and everything. That's all energy, and it's all flowing. And what a beautiful positive aspect to have that.
And I know, can you imagine if everybody in the world for 30 seconds just stopped and just visualized world peace, what would happen? So again, because we have, this is the day of the internet. This is the time. This is the the forum that we can use to connect everybody in like-minded and collective prayer intentions to heal the planet and everybody in it. If we focused collective prayer and intention is so powerful, we can heal people, we can move mountains.
It's an amazing aspect. Well, you're leading me right into what's the vision, because we spoke, offline about this, but what's the vision for the site and the planet? So when this is, there's going to be iterations, if you will. There's going to, it's just like any, you're giving birth and you've got your toddler, you've got your infant toddler here. Yeah. What happened, what's the vision for the site and for the planet? I'm kind of walk everybody through that, that aspect.
Sure. So, it's endless. I keep seeing more and more things, but it's like so big that I have to come back here. But just imagine, because we can do this now. We can, with my radio show, with what I know and what I can do, we can put thousands of people on a group call, say once a week. We can pick, what's your cause? Let's pray for this family or for these children that were killed at the school in Somalia. Let's pray for the, hearts of ISIS. And we do it collectively. Just imagine, because, I see people pray, people pray all the time, which is wonderful. But look what happens when we can do it together. It's just, I just see it as just a very powerful way to really make a difference on the planet. Now, because so many of us look and we just see, the travesties and what can I do? And it's so big and overwhelming. Well, it starts with you. It starts with you right where you are. Whether you, become a prayer partner or join this cause, or just to hold the vision for this. But it's just, how you walk out into the community. When you smile at somebody, it's like it's the pebble in the pond. That's you. And everything you do and think ripples out and makes a huge difference on the planet. Can I share one quick thing, or do we need to take a break?
No, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. So HeartMath has a monitoring system called the Global Coherence Monitoring System. It's a scientific state-of-the-art sensing technology to observe changes in the Earth's magnetic field. Do you know that on 9/11, that it actually registered with this monitoring system and also on NOAA's monitoring system? It spiked on 9/11 and 2 days after. And they believe that is because so many people felt compassion for what happened, and collective human consciousness affects the global information field. So the more that large numbers of people that create heart-centered states of care, love, and compassion, then we can generate a much more coherent field environment that can benefit others and help to offset the discord that's in the planet right now.
Well, it's so true, because again, we're back to the element and the issue of we are energy. There's so many people believe that you're a body with a soul. And I'm always saying, no, it's the reverse. You're a soul encapsulated in a body, which is energy, your energy. And when you can see, tangible proof that there's an epic world event that takes place, a very tragic, epic world event, and yet the outpouring. I happened to be in Paris at the time of 9/11. I was living there, and the Parisians are very wonderful. They're beautiful and they're wonderful people and everything, but they're also very contained. I think Americans are very expressive, and Parisians can hold themselves very close. They don't express. And one of the most epic things that I will remember of that was the outpouring of love. Thousands upon thousands upon thousands of flowers and wishes and statements of unity. It was just, I'm getting goosebumps because, and the people that we interacted with on a daily basis, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the people where you would shop and, buy your groceries and things. Every single one knew that you were an American. And what they did was they literally came out from behind the counters and hugged you.
Oh.
And said, "Are you okay? Is your family okay?"
Oh.
And it was such a, and Sheila, that's that was something given of the spirit and in that energy and how it was felt, and it rippled.
I'll tell you something. I recently heard a new name for God, and that's just simply universal energy. And if we knew how powerful we were, oh my God, we have to take our blinders off and realize that we really are so connected and so powerful. And there are infinite possibilities for all of us. And that's what we're remembering, as you said earlier. We're remembering that now.
And it ties into the ascension. It ties into our energy, our lifting, the levity of our energy in the ascension process. And this is, again, how Global Prayer Partners, this whole initiative that Sheila has been guided to create, to co-create, is a beautiful way I would say it, with all of you, with universal energy, because it's about raising the planet's energy and its goodness and its love. It's about remembering that that's who we are. And that is a very empowering element to humanity. When you see on a global scale what Sheila is doing. And I
have to tell you, about 5 days ago, I was just sitting home and just crying. I was just crying, going, what am I doing? This isn't working. It's like, God, why did you take me this far? And what am I, because there's just things you go through when you create something like this. There's the highs, there's the lows, there's the scary part. I am doing this on blind faith, I'll tell you. And you know what? That day passed, and then, some more interest came in, and so I'm just following this until I'm told, to do something else. But yeah.
Well, and that's, and you're not alone in that. It's very funny that so many things that you're talking about in that particular. Yesterday, I'm going through the launch of a new product and everything that's going to be coming out. And again, it was that same similar thing of, okay, God, really, does it have to be this challenging? And I just had to go out and hike and be in nature. And I had my music on my headphones, and I was I was being feisty, I would say, with the universe. And I said, I'm just blowing off a little steam. You've got to let me, because, and one of these songs came on, and I think it was, is this as hard as it gets? Was the line in the song. And I just kind of looked up and, because it's such a beautiful expression of, is this as hard as it gets? Because I'm really there. I really want to do this. And so there's a beauty in going through all of these emotions and having that dialogue with Source, because it's a two-way street. We don't just pray and then say, oh, okay, we'll make it happen. It's a discussion. It's a dialogue. It's a process.
And it is a process, and it is a journey. And again, I want to reiterate that these prayers that we do, these demands of the universe, like, what do I do now? Are you sure? Are you kidding me? I could go through 1, 2, 3 days of just, despair, because it takes time. And then all of a sudden, boom, a phone call comes, or boom, this thing happens. So we have to have that waiting period, or that void, as Hans King calls it. I love what the void is, when something is sort of ended and you're not sure what's next. And it's that icky place. We all hate being there, but we have to be there. And that's when you just have to kind of just wait and do your life and hold on to that faith, because, the universe takes time to set things up and to move this here so you'll meet that person over there. It's not like today, this second. Sometimes it is, but, it takes a little time. We have to be patient with the universe.
Well, actually, exactly, because it's ultimately, as I always say, they know all, we know what we know. It's like we know little, they know all. And so if you're being protected, I'm always talking about protection, not rejection. Sometimes you're being held in place because they got to line up the pins to get the strike. You can't.
I love that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you've got a gutter ball, or there's, you can throw the ball, but there's nothing down there for it to hit.
Yeah.
So we have to,
line up the pins.
They got to line up the pins to get the strike. So this is such a pleasure. You're listening to Dear James Live. Express yourself, tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say with my amazing featured guest, Sheila Gale, the founder and creator of Global Prayer Partners. We'll be back right after this message.
Available for private, individual, group, and corporate consultations, Dear James will provide you with the intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions. Schedule your consultation by going to www.dearjames.com and click on Consultation. The gift of giving is immeasurable. Give of your time, talent, resources, and money. Give not only because you can, but because by doing so, it is already coming back to you. As a people, we are only as strong as the least among us. Together, we harness the power of the collective whole and see through our deeds the power of miracles, both large and small. Find the charity that's right for you by visiting www.dearjames.com and click on Charitable Giving. One person or kind act really does make the difference.
When you ask a question, the universe hears you, and in a multitude of ways, they communicate to you the intuitive insight, answers, and advice you seek. Ask Dear James a question and experience the magic of the universe. Visit DearJames.com and click Ask.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Dear James Live. Express yourself. Tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. Again, joining back with amazing featured guest Sheila Gale and Global Prayer Partners. And something, Sheila, that we talked about is also in this place of whether prayer is focused on religion and so forth. But there was, in your write-up about Global Prayer Partners, there's this beautiful statement that you said that you realize that there are many people in need of from all parts of the world, from all different religious and theological backgrounds, who require a helping prayer from time to time. Prayer is the great unifier, as all of the spiritual pathways believe in the power of prayer. When you look at that, for me, that's a very epic statement, because you really realize the limitlessness and the beauty that's in this helping hand, this helping prayer. So I just want you to reiterate, this isn't a religious or solely a religious aspect. This is about global prayer, global unification.
This is about helping to alleviate pain and suffering on the planet. And it's a way that I know works. I want to just share real quick. I did a radio show 3 days ago, and the host afterward told me that her precious husband, who was a neurosurgeon for years, has stage 4 prostate cancer, and he's the sweetest man in the world, and he's just in excruciating pain all the time. So would I send a prayer out? So we sent prayers to him, and I wish I had it in front of me, but she sent me back an email, and it was just profound. She started reading these to her husband, and the smile on his face and the glow in his eyes, and their caregiver was there and couldn't believe the change in the room. He had the most peaceful nap. If we can just, there's people that are going to die, obviously, that are maybe on the prayer list. We just want to help them with comfort. We're not saying we're going to heal everybody, but let them have a peaceful passing. Let them be free of pain and suffering for now. So, it's just profound. Another woman, Celeste, my dear friend in Hawaii, her daughter had a brain tumor that was very rare, and she was going in for surgery. So we put her I sent it out to my email list, and she received over, I think, 300 prayers. And Celeste sat there and wept for a half a day and her heart was just overflowing. This is the mother of the daughter. And not only that, of course, reading them to her daughter. Her daughter's now, the surgery went well. She's recovering beautifully. She's healing fine. And just the profound difference that getting those and reading those made in their lives.
Well, and it comes to me, Sheila, that typically prayer is done in private. We have our, I say my prayers each night before I go to bed. And so the beauty, but what's striking me, what's coming to me and resonating with me about this is that whether it is in an effort of healing or the comfort of a passing and everything. What's striking me is that as we all participate, as we all begin, and this begins to, become larger and larger, what we're ultimately doing is reflecting back the image of our own innateness, our creation, which is love. And the power of that, the power of love, the power of prayer, the power of our creation is quite epic here. And to tangibly get those messages.
Yeah.
Imagine the person that's in hospice.
Yep.
And that loved one sitting there reading to them prayers from all over the globe for them.
Yep. It's just, you have to experience it to understand it. So I just want more and more people to experience this. It's just phenomenal what takes place.
Yeah. It just keeps striking me that it's going to take what it's going to do is bring about, I'm going to say, as I get it, the face of God back to you, the face of universal energy. It's bringing that to you. It's that sunshine, if you, it's that bottled sunshine that you go, boop, and it opens for you.
And you know what's interesting? So many people are going through just tremendously struggling tough times. We know that people are getting sick. People are losing their homes. People are, in fear and worry. And
right, they're struggling, right.
All of us. But how, even in those states, their prayers were just so from the heart. And, also I want to add this phrase, well wishes, just simply well wishes, just as you would, if somebody had passed, you just send your condolences, you send your love. It's like, send it, baby. We get it. We feel it. It works. And, I believe we all are healers. We are capable of healing ourselves. We haven't quite remembered that yet. We are remembering that. And also, being willing to receive, being open to receive these prayers is really important too.
Well, in that, exactly, because in that, it ultimately, that's what it's doing, is that it does open us up again to receive in these places of darkness, in these places of struggle. But it also reaffirms, and this is where I say faith is innate. It reignites your faith in life, in humanity, in goodness, in love.
Yes.
In the beauty of this experience that we're living. And I think that's what's interesting. It would be hard pressed to see somebody receive these prayers and literally the reading of these prayers and not be moved by the love and the kindness of them. That's what's really striking me with this.
Yeah. And like I said, they come from all over the world, and there's some are short, some are long, some are a sentence, but, they just have, big hugs. They say your first name. Oh, Bob, thank you so much for what you've done. I'm sending you healing, love, and light. Yolanda from Brazil. Just like amazing, one after the other after the other. It just blew me away, the hearts of people, and how much people want to give. And, so let's do this together.
Right. It's an avenue and an opportunity for goodness.
Yeah.
I'm always saying, go ahead.
A much bigger impact when we do it together as a community. It's time for us to come together as a community collectively to really turn this planet around. However you do it. This is one way, but it's like we need to start really coming together in community with others and stop being so isolated. And I'm one of those that isolates myself, even though you hear me on the airwaves. I'm stay home a lot, but we have to come together as a community, and that's how we're going to take back this planet. Absolutely.
With this Global Prayer Partners. So I want to go over this because we're coming into the closing minutes of the show, but it's globalprayerpartners.com. And by all means, please go and visit the site. Please donate to the site. Get involved. Be an active member of the ascension process, because that's about goodness and about ascension and about the levity and about the empowerment and the power behind your prayers and your goodness or your intentions or your well wishes for others. It's an epic opportunity for people to get involved. I want to ask you one closing question, because it is global prayer, and you've obviously, with the addiction and the darkness that you've talked about, and your personal journey. How does prayer play out in your life, in your journey, or your life's journey, or your day-to-day? How does that share with the listeners prayer in your life?
Prayer in my life is what I wake up with and what I go to sleep with. And I simply turn everything over to the big amigo, if you will. A great prayer is, God, take over. God, take over. So I use it all day. I ask, I talk to God. Like sometimes I get pissed off and I say, look, you need to show me something now, damn it. And that's exactly how I live my life. I just wanted to add one more thing, because when you mentioned globalprayerpartners.com, another thing that people can do, if you cannot donate, not interested in being a prayer partner, please share the link, with your social media. That would be so helpful. And just even to hold the vision for this to happen and get big and real. Absolutely. So I just, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say absolutely, and also on the Dear James Facebook page. So there is a posting here. So please, by all means, go there and share it, because as Sheila's saying, the more people that become aware of the initiative, the globalprayerpartners.com initiative, the more awareness and the traction it gains, and the more abundance that you, Sheila, on behalf of so many, are going to experience for all of us, for everybody involved. It's such a beautiful, beautiful expression of unity and goodness. It's really amazing.
Well, thank you so much, Dear James. You are such a dear, and just all the best to you. I just loved this show and being with you. And thank you for shining your bright light and the difference you're making.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's really an epic opportunity for everybody listening. And we're down to the last couple of minutes, but I just want to reiterate, it is up to each one of us. It is our innate gifts and beauty about prayer, about faith, and about the actual power that you have right where you're sitting to be that pebble, as Sheila said, and to be that ripple in the greatest pond, this life pond. And so become involved, get involved, investigate this initiative, the globalprayerpartners.com, and play an active role. Don't wait for life to happen. Bring it to yourself, because as you pray for others and you give of yourself and that goodness, it's already coming back to you. And so, Sheila, I am so happy that Spirit and Source guided you to do this, and I'm thrilled that Natasha is better, and I'm sorry that she had to go through this to be the impetus for it.
Yep.
But what a beautiful gift that is. So I thank you so much for that and for being a guest on today's show. You're listening to Dear James Live. Express yourself. Tell it like it is, and then hear what Dear James has to say. We will be back next week with a new show. And as I always say and leave you with, no matter where you are or whom you're with or what you're doing, wrap yourself in goodness.
You've been listening to Dear James Live on the radio with your host, Dear James. Gain intuitive insight, answers, and advice to your life questions and so much more by tuning in next week and visiting DearJames.com.